Did you know that there was a difference between boondocking and off-grid boondocking? Most people don't, but we're going to go into that today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Pam, and I'm nearly 6 years full-time in a van traveling the U.S. with my dog, Matrix. We are boondockers. I call myself a professional boondocker because I've done it so much that I feel like I know the ins and the outs, and I want to share those with you today. I've taken notes because I didn't want to forget anything. So let me know if you have any questions of anything that I forget after we talk about these 8 things. May or may not get this right today, peeps. Okay, number 1, weather. If you're going to off-grid boondock, and when I say off-grid, I mean 5 days or more. Anything under that, you can get by with just boondocking. But boondocking really is staying at Walmart and rest areas. You have no plugins, no amenities, but you can run into Walmart and, grab some milk or something if you need to. But always the weather. You need to figure out where you want to, what kind of environment, what kind of weather you want to be in. And, do you want to be in the rain? Do you want to be in the snow? Do you want to be in the sunshine? Because those things are going to make a difference as how you plan the rest of the things that you do. Do you want to be warm? Do you want to be cold? You have to figure that out and check the 10-day forecast for wherever you think you might want to be so that you can be prepared for what may come forward. So the second thing would be location. The weather will also have something to do with the location where you might want to go. But if you want to go to the desert, then you're going to plan a little bit differently than if you want to go into the woods somewhere. So a location, you want to search it out. You want to kind of think about things like, do you want to be isolated? Do you want to be all by yourself? Or maybe you want to be in an area that somebody is a quarter of a mile away, or you might be able to see them with your binoculars, but nevertheless you are definitely off grid. I am an isolator. I don't want to see anybody anywhere around. If somebody shows up, then I'm okay with that. I've had people show up too close to me and I've actually moved. But picking your location would be the number 2 thing. And I would also suggest, because you don't know when you get there what it's actually going to be like, I would also suggest having 2 choices, even if they're close by each other. And sometimes I've actually gone to number 1 and number 2 and actually moved one more time, maybe twice more, in order to get the right environment and the right feeling and the right amount of space that I feel comfortable in. So location, weather, location. All right. The next thing we need to talk about is power. If you are going to be off grid, then there's a few things you really have to think about. And I'm all about power. But if you have a DC to DC and you rely on that to charge your batteries, then that's not going to work, because you're not going to drive every day. You're going to be stationary. So you have to think beyond that. And maybe, I don't even know the answer to this, but maybe if you just start your van, then it will charge your batteries. Maybe, I don't know. If you have DC to DC, you're going to know that better. But if you're planning on using it totally, then that means you're going to have to drive every day, or you're going to have to leave your van running for a really long time. Solar is very important. But again, you have to determine how much solar you have and do the formula to know how much solar you need to actually charge what you have for batteries. You also have to keep in mind this time of year, or whatever time of year you're watching this. But if you're in the winter, your solar is here. The sun is very low in the sky. It's not going to hit directly like it would in the summer, which is really what you need to charge your solar panels to do a good job for what you need. And again, do the formula. You can AI it, Google it, and will help you understand how much solar and what it takes. Generally speaking, in order to get your maximum amount of solar use, you need direct sunlight for at least 5 hours a day. So if you don't have the direct sunlight, then you have to keep in mind that that's not totally going to work. I have a generator, so I have that advantage. Even though I don't like it, I'm able to just start my generator and charge my batteries. Another thing that you might think about having, and that is a portable power station. Because with that, depending on how big a one you get, you'll be able to charge all your phones, all of those, your laptops, all of the things that you might need in that way. Also, you can get solar panels to go with your power station. I have a Blue Eddy. I don't have the solar panels. It's on my list. It's in my list down there in the description. I'll give you my address. You can have them shipped to me. But anyway, the thing about that is they're portable solar panels, so you can move them and adjust them so that they're getting direct sunlight all the time, which helps. Come on, baby. Matrix wants to be involved in our conversation. But in order to go along with all of those things, you need to know how to manage what you use inside your van in order to determine how fast it's going to, drain your battery. Matrix, come here, darling. Come here. Come here. Come here. I knew he'd do this and interrupt me. This dog's out there. And he's like, I want to be out there. But as soon as he goes out there, he doesn't want to go out there. Anyway. So if you have, for instance, what you can do is you can just turn off your inverter. And that will save all your power in your house, assuming you have an inverter, which an inverter is what you're going to need in order to power your AC outlets. The thing about that is you have to keep in mind, if your refrigerator, if you have a refrigerator, if it runs off from electricity, you're not going to be able to power down that inverter because it will shut off your refrigerator. Mine is a direct wire between my battery. I'm not real good at this, but I do know that if I shut off my inverter, my refrigerator will still work. If I power down my battery, it will not work. So I'm not really sure how that connection is, but you're going to have to keep this in mind because you don't want to drain your batteries because you're going to be off grid for 5 days or more. So you have to keep track of your power, how you're going to be able to charge it, and how much everything takes and how much you're going to need. So power. Water management. I don't know what you have. I have a 25-gallon freshwater tank, but that means I'm not going to take a shower every day. I'm going to have to, let up on washing the dishes. I don't need a full sink and I don't need to rinse them off. I'm going to have to be able to manage how much water I use so I don't run out. Now, typically I fill my water tank once a week. If I'm going to be more than 5 days off grid, then I'm not going to be able to use the amount of water that I normally use. I have a black tank. We'll get to waste management in a minute, but I do use water when I flush my toilet. So I use more water. The other thing to go along with that is not just your freshwater tank. It's also drinking water, because I carry 11 gallons of drinking water with me. I may not have them all full if I'm just boondocking, but if I'm going off grid boondocking, I make sure they're all full. I have a 5-gallon there's a Primo pump, and then I have 2 3-gallon containers that I can dump into them. So I have 11 gallons. I've never run out, but I also carry, I also have water bottles in my refrigerator that I can, back as backup. So I do have water. So make sure you have enough water. Even if you run out of your freshwater tank, then you can have dirty dishes for a while. Maybe you use paper plates. I don't do that. I don't have storage. And then getting into the management part, you'll see in a minute why you don't want to do that. But keep track of your water and make sure you always have enough drinking water. And that may mean that you can't boil macaroni every day, because that takes a lot of drinking water. So keep that in mind. And if you have a dog, dogs drink water too. If you have more than one, keep that in mind as well. Waste. Oh, before we do that, food. You have to plan and have food management, because if you're going to be off grid for that amount of time, your lettuce is not going to stay fresh. It's just not. You're going to need to bring things with you. And this is what I normally do. I bring my lettuce, I bring my vegetables, I bring those, and the first few days, then I eat those. And once those are gone, then I move into, of course, I have a freezer. I don't know what you have, but I can buy frozen vegetables and put those in there. But beyond that, then I move into canned things, macaroni, noodles, those kind of things, because all my fresh fruit and vegetables are now depleted. So make sure you plan for that. And also things like milk. You know, how long is your milk going to stay fresh? So I eat cereal with milk on it. And so I eat that first and drink my milk first. When that's gone, then I move into oatmeal or some other thing. I used to get yogurt. I always had yogurt, but I learned that if I bring yogurt and milk, then one or the other is going to spoil before I get all done. So I don't bring them both. If I'm going to bring yogurt, I don't bring milk. That's what I have learned in my food preparation and management. So let's talk about waste management for a minute. I have a black tank. You may not, and that's okay. That's good. I have a black tank. I dump it once a week. So if I'm going to be off grid for more than 5 days, then I need to make sure that I'm not overusing it, because the worst thing that can happen is I run out of water, or my black tank, but more often my gray tank, fills up. And you cannot, I don't care what anybody says, you cannot just open your gray tank and let your water spew all over wherever you are. You cannot do that. That's a big no-no. So you can't do that. So I do have 25 gallons of fresh water, but I have my gray tank and my black tank are 13 and 12. So if I run out of fresh water, then those are full. I don't want those to get full no matter what. But in addition to that, if you don't have a black tank, you may have a composting toilet or some kind of a cassette toilet. So you have to consider, if you have a 5-gallon cassette toilet, how long is that going to last before it needs to be emptied? And if you're off grid 5 days or more, you're not going to have a place to empty it. So human waste can also be taken care of by being out in the wild. Get your shovel. Make sure you brought your shovel, and human waste needs to be buried 6 inches or more. So be sure that happens, and never leave any toilet paper out anywhere. Also, in order to go along with that, as far as trash is concerned, I keep mine separated. I have, my paper. I have my cans, those kind of things, and any food scraps or anything that is, spoils like that, I put it in plastic Ziploc bags and I put it in the freezer. I freeze all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you don't have a freezer, another part of that is going to be, if you don't have a freezer or refrigerator, and you may be using a cooler and ice, you're going to have to keep that in mind if you're going to be off grid. How are you going to keep your food items cold? So be sure and know that you have to have waste management. You have to know what you're going to do with your human waste, your food waste, your trash, because you're not going to have any place to do it. And okay, so I don't want to forget anything. Okay, number 7, connectivity. How much do you want to be connected to the world? Now, before I had my Starlink, even if I went off grid, I wouldn't go off grid unless I was able to get some kind of a signal. One of the reasons for that is, and number 8 is safety. I wanted to be able to be sure that I was able to make a call if I needed to. Now, right now, however, I make videos. that's a full-time thing for me. And so I need my Starlink in order to be able to upload videos and all of the things that, go with that. So you're going to have to consider what kind of connectivity you need, and that may head you back to location so that you are always in a place that you're going to be able, whatever kind of signal you want for whatever your purpose is. If you work from your van, then I'm sure you're going to probably either have to be very careful about that location, or you're going to have a Starlink, or at the very least a booster, a Netgear booster, or something similar to that. And number 8 would be safety. Now, there's an argument. Are you safer in the Walmart parking lot? And we always use that, Walmart parking lot, but you know what I mean. It's boondocking, but not off-grid boondocking per se. Or are you safer out in the boonies off-grid? Well, I tend to believe that I'm safer off-grid than I am in a Walmart parking lot, but some people may not actually think that. So some kind of self-defense, just in case, more than probably people always say they're always afraid of, a lot of women, men. I'm like, well, okay, carry bear spray. That takes care of men and bears. That's my favorite saying. But some kind of safety precautions. Even though you're out there, lock your doors at night. Make sure that you keep track of your dog, because you don't want your dog to be hurt. Excuse me. It's dry here where I am, but I have plenty of water. But in addition to those things, those safety items, there's some other things that you need to think about to go along with that. What if, for instance, you get stuck? I've had this happen to me. What if it rains while you're there and you get stuck and you can't get out? Well, for me, in that case, I didn't have a shovel. I bought a shovel since then. I ended up sitting in the same place for 3 days before it dried up enough for me to leave. So this is something that is what I hadn't planned on it. But fortunately for me, I carry enough drinking water, enough food to make sure that if something like that happens and I get waylaid, then I have more than I actually need. I always carry tools. I have the things that you might need. I have one of those little portable air pumps things, because you got a flat tire just sitting there, a slow leak. You can pump it in enough when you're getting ready to leave. You can pump it up enough to get to where you want to go. Of course, if you want to change your tire, that's okay. But, Good Sam roadside assistance is not going to help you when you're way off grid like that. Well, make sure you carry enough safety items to get you out of where you need to get out of in case something like that happens. Because, you live in a van. It may happen. Who knows? So in recap, just so we all remember this, watch out for the weather. Choose your location wisely. Make sure you understand how power works for you and how you're going to be able to keep powered. Unless you want to go like totally off grid, where you have no power for anything. That's not me. I need power, some kind of power. Water management. Make sure you have enough drinking water, even if you might not have enough, just fresh water. Food, be sure and plan that out. If you're going to be off grid for more than 5 days, then you really need to take some thought and plan that out. Your waste, you're not going to be able to take your trash to the trash can. So make sure you understand what you're going to do about that. If I know that sometimes if there's no fire ban, people actually build fires in the fire pits that's already there to burn, paper. I don't normally do that, but that is possible. And connectivity, make sure you understand what you have, how connected you want to be, and plan for that as well. And lastly, safety. make sure that you feel safe in your environment, and also to go along with that, make sure you are equipped with the kind of tools that you need to get you out of a situation in case you happen to get in one. Because if you're like me and you're off grid and you isolate, then you can't rely on anybody else to help you except yourself. And that's something that you really learn when you're off grid. You learn how to be creative in the things you need to do in order to make sure you're safe and that you can live for that amount of time off grid. More than 5 days is what I consider to be off grid living. And I'm not talking about staying 5 days in the Walmart parking lot either. Anyway, so there you go. Is boondocking the same thing as off grid boondocking? And it's not. It's two totally different things. And you need to learn those if you're going to be living on the road. So anyway, that is what I wanted to talk about today in today's Van Life mini talk. And check out my description below. You're actually going to find tools and those kind of things in there that I have an Amazon list of 10 things that I think it's 11 in it that empower women to be and live on the road. I've got some other lists in there too that you'll see the names of that I have, things that I have picked out, things that I use, things that I find very useful. So check out my description below for lots of fun things. And anyway, thank you. And I hope you have a blessed day, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.